these are your notes for Thursday's classwork. So remember, we are doing a flipped classroom, so you're going to be watching these on Wednesday night to get ready for the class. And for IM2, the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be solving multi-step equations. And on the left, you can see that I have 5 different steps to make it a little bit easier to understand. So step 1, we always want to distribute. That means we want to get rid of the parentheses. So get rid of the parentheses. We're going to, step 2, we combine like terms on each side. We're not going to move anything until step 3. So here we're going to move the variables to one side. Then we're going to move the constants. These are the ones that doesn't have any numbers. These are just numbers, no letters. And step 5 is we want to multiply, divide. So this one is going to be, we're going to do multiplication or division. And then we're going to add or subtract. Oops, sorry. Add, subtract, then multiply, divide. Sorry, I'm doing it backwards today. Sorry. So we're going to add or subtract, then multiply or divide. Okay, so let's try the first one. So the first one, I can see that the letter, we're always looking at the letter is being divided by 4, and then it's being added by 5. So we know 5, it's being added because 5 is a positive number. So looking at the steps, we don't have any distribution, we don't have any like terms on the same side, and we don't have variables on both sides. So what we're going, and we can't move consonants to one side. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to move to step 4. So move the consonants. That's where we're going to do the adding or subtracting. So 5 is positive. I'm going to subtract it. And this will cross off because 5 minus 5 is 0, so it gets rid of it. N over 4, and 6 minus 5 is 1. So now we see that n is being divided by 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the opposite. We always do the opposites. So since it's being divided, I'm going to multiply both sides by 4, because 4 divided by 4 is 1. And then we have n equals 4. Okay, same thing with the second one. I can see if we look at our letter N, we're being multiplied by 2 and then added 2. So we're going to start with step 4. Step 4 means we're going to add or subtract. So we're going to subtract 2 to both sides. Because it is being added, we do the opposite. So 34 equals 2n. And the 2 and the n, these are being multiplied. Even though they don't have a multiplication symbol, we do see there is a little dot. There should be a dot right there, but when it's next to each other, it's hidden. So since it's being multiplied, we're going to divide. And these will cross out. I like doing that. I like crossing off what I can. Also, I've had students who really like putting a line down so they know they have to do it from one side to the other. Whatever works for you, go ahead and do it. Some people find it easier, some don't. It's fine. N equals, and then we're just dividing it, and we get 17. Okay, now the next one, we do see that we do have a parentheses here. So what we're going to do is we're going to distribute everything. We're distributing, 4 to everything inside. So we're going to get 88 equals 4 times negative 8. And then 4 times negative 5, or 4 times 5, and we do know has a multiplication. And you can change the letter if you want. If you don't like working with certain letters, that's fine. For me, certain letters I can't do lowercase, so I have to write them capitalized. Now, we can't combine on the same side. We can't move variables, but I can add or subtract. And I see that 32 is a negative. Usually leave the letter to last. So I'm going to add 32 to both sides. You have to do it to both sides because equations are like little kids. If one kid gets a candy, they're all going to want candy. So it's just easier to do it. Think of it that way. So we're going to add it together. Equals negative 20p. And now we're going to do the multiplication division. So since this is being multiplied, I'm going to divide. And even if it is a negative, I'm going to take that negative with it. The only time we're going to change it is when we add or subtract. And the nice thing with zeros, if they both have 0 on top and bottom, you can cross them off. And 12 divided by negative 2 is a lot easier than 120 divided by negative 2. And we get this one. Okay, the next step we're going to do is this one is a little bit longer. So we're still going to start with step 1, which is distribute. And then write whatever you have not done yet. And I have a plus negative. You could have it as both. I like just getting it a positive times a negative is a negative. So I'm going to actually get rid of that. Makes it a little bit easier. Now, so we did step 1. That was distribute, get rid of the parentheses. Now, step 2 is combine like terms on the same side, okay? So on the same side. So if we look at it, and sometimes when you have it with the line down, it's easier to see. The left side, they only have one thing, so we can't combine it. But on the right side, we do have a K here and a K here. So we can actually combine them. And negative 3 minus 12, we're not going to add. That's only when you move it to the other side. So here, you're just going to combine them. And then write everything else you did not touch. And now we did the step 2. We don't have variables on the other side, but we can move the consonants. So that means add or subtract. So I have a subtraction, so I'm going to add it. And that goes away. So we have negative 15k equals negative 60. So we did step 4. Now step 5, we're going to either multiply or divide. Usually we are going to divide, but there have been cases where you do have to multiply. We're going to divide by negative 15. And a negative over negative is going to be a positive. And so we get the answer of 4 equals k. And we did step 5. Okay, the last problem we're going to do is something that is a little bit bigger. We're going to have a variable on both sides. So again, we're going to start with step 1, which is distribute through the parentheses. Multiply to both. And then write whatever you still have left. And I'm going to go ahead and again draw the line down. It sometimes helps my students. If you need it, don't use it. Okay? Okay, so we did that one. Now we look at step 2. Do we have any same terms on the same, any similar terms on the same side? The left side, I have a variable and I have a constant. Same thing with the right side. Nothing's the same on one side, so I am not going to do step 2. Now, step 3 is we want to move the variable. I like to move the smaller one because I don't like working with negatives. I'd rather have a positive, so that's what I'm going to do that. Move smaller number. So Negative 7m is much smaller than 16m, so I'm going to move that one. And I'm always going to do the opposite. And we do that. Now we're back to what problem we did before. Move the consonants, meaning add or subtract. Here I have a negative 64, so I'm going to add 64. And then we're going to do the multiplication or division. And I'm going to divide both sides by 23. So m is going to equal 2.